morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock. So we were going to begin our meeting this morning. Appreciate everyone's attendance here today. A couple different sheets here. Hang on. These are the same. Oh, okay. Gotta figure out my paper over here. We'll begin with the easy part, which is taking roll call. So if councillors could indicate their presence on the electronic voting pad, that would be marvelous. Thank you. We have a couple empty chairs in front of us this morning. Councillor Hurta will be here around 10 o'clock. Mayor Matart to be determined, but likely at some point shortly. And we haven't heard from Councillor Killam, so we will not be making any motions to excuse at this point and just see where we end up with folks. So we're having an error with the roll call. That's okay. For those listening online, I'm Deputy Mayor Emily Lutz, chairing this morning in lieu of Mayor Matart. Today is a special council meeting of the budget. It's Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, and we're about to get rolling here. If we need to vote with our hands, we could probably do that if required, Chris, but you'd like me to do that? Okay, IT will be here shortly. Okay. Well, we can vote with our hands. We can vote with our hands. If you're here, raise your hand. Amazing. Thanks, everybody. Next up is the approval of the agenda. I would look for a motion to approve the agenda from council. Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Davison. Thank you, everyone. Any additions, agendas, comments on the agenda this morning? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by raising your hand. All in favor? Wonderful. Councillor Killam has joined us for the time being. Now that we have an approved agenda, is there any conflict of interest issues that council wishes to disclose this morning with the budget? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item 4, financial services. We have Director Greg Barr in front of us this morning to present on the operating capital budget's request for decision. He has a presentation, and then we'll be moving into the motions that are provided in your package. So over to you, Mr. Barr. I do have to turn your microphone on. There you are.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good morning, Council. So if we don't mind pulling up the slide deck.
And we just learned from yesterday too, that microphone is very quiet.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I don't know if there's any way to get that turned up, but it was quiet yesterday too, and it seems to be a little quiet.
I'll speak a little louder.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. How's that? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, great. Just waiting for the slide deck here. I can move forward with it. Oh,
There
great.
we go.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, as you stated, the meeting today is to go through the series of motions that we have in relation to our 24-25 proposed operating budget, the water utility budget, the capital and project budgets, as well as any other related fees and rates, together with approvals of other budgets that we have either through agreements or by legislation. So, before we actually, if you don't mind going to the next slide, great. So. As you know, we've had a series of meetings before this at Committee of the Whole to present the detailed capital and special project operating budget, and then also on March 13th, the operating utility and reserve budgets were presented to Committee of the Whole. So we mentioned at that time that if there was any changes or any modifications to it, that we would identify those today. So there has been, we mentioned during our presentation that the Regional Sewer Committee was meeting between the time that we released the budget and presented the budget, and there were some slight changes to what was approved from that committee. So Mike is actually going to come up and go through some of the changes that are represented now in the document that's contained within the agenda package, and then we'll move forward with the rest of the motions.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning, Council. So the changes that have taken place in the regional sewer budget are summarized on screen. You can see that both the operating and capital budgets have had some decrease on the operating side. There was a reduction of the monitoring budget, specifically related to the communications plan and budget, a decrease of $2,000 on that line item. And then the remainder of the difference is a change in the financing the financing plan from the Village of New Minas. They've opted to fund their share of the aeration and desludge project up front with their allocation of Canada Community Building Funds, or gas tax. And so that's reduced the total debt service cost, but that is specifically tied to their contribution. On the capital side, 3 projects have been impacted. A portion of the sewer mains project, a section of force main out along Highway 1, that's been completely removed from the budget and the 5-year forecast. Then the lagoon desludging of cells 3, 4, and 5 has been deferred out of the 24-25 budget period and into the next year, 25-26. And that was $1,050,000, and sorry, the one project before that, $875,000. And then finally, there was actually a project that was felt should be advanced out of the 25-26 year and moved into 24-25 and addressed sooner rather than later. And that was the blower and drum screen upgrades. So that project cost was $395,000. And so that's a total overall decline in the capital budget in the regional system by $1,530,000. So the way that impacts other areas of the budget would be through the municipality's share of regional, which gets captured within the municipal sewer budget and paid through that rate. The impact of these adjustments, because they're on the capital side, because they relate specifically to New Minas, and then the $2,000 amount being only the piece that would have impacted the municipal sewer allocation. The municipal impact is somewhere in the range of like $300. So we've just left the municipal sewer budget untouched, and as a result, there'll be just the smallest variance when it comes to the contribution that ultimately goes to regional sewer. But that is the update, all of it that has taken place between the presentation and today's round of deliberations. So I'd gladly take any questions that there might be on the matter.
Any questions for Mike on the changes to regional sewer? Councilor Armstrong.
I know you're the finance guy, and perhaps you can't answer this question, but I'm curious to know, with all that we went through in the last year, 18 months with, the smell issues in New Minas and all the work done on the lagoons, why we would defer desludging any of the cells over there? Like, what's the mindset behind deferring that?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I think I can sort of touch on that from participating in the meetings, and what I've heard is that the lagoons need some time to settle and just see where they can even out and go from there, rather than continuing to sort of disrupt the system. And then there's also a process of mapping the lagoon cells 3, 4, and 5 to determine exactly the scope of work that will be required. And so the committee was hopeful that we could take some time, do that, get a clear sense of exactly what we'll need going into this piece of work, and it can be readjusted going into 25-26.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there any further questions or comments on the regional sewer budget? Okay. Thanks. I know that's a complicated file, so for everyone who has worked on that and around the council table who's sat on regional sewer, I know this has been and our CIO too, everybody who's worked on that it's been a lot of work, so thanks. It's good to see it on paper. Director Bauer, go ahead.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mike. So with that, what we've done in the past is that we've organized all of our recommendations into a series of motions that cover all the approvals that we'll need. What we tend to try and do is kind of work through each of the recommendations one at a time. Hopefully they'll lead us through the process and allow for opportunities for if there's any additional questions or if there's deliberations and debate that may happen out of them. But the best way that we see moving forward is to kind of go through each of the 14 motions. Now we have reorganized the motions just slightly, number 5 and number 6, with the Kentfield Volunteer Fire Department motion for approving their budget and our contribution. We just wanted to move those further down in the agenda, so we kept the numbering the same, so you'll see that we'll go from 4 to 7, and then we'll come back to 5 and 6 a little bit later on through the process. So with that, Madam Chair, if you prefer, I can read the motions or to introduce the process. What would be the preference?
I don't mind reading them. I can read it.
Okay.
Okay. The first one, the Municipal Council approved the 2024-25 operating and capital budget for the Greenwood Water Utility, which includes $1,084,900 of gross expenditures, $127,330 in capital out of revenue, and a total capital budget of $7,374,050 funded out of prior period surplus, long-term debt, and operating revenue attached as Appendix A to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. Do I have a mover of the motion? Moved by Councillor Burgess. Seconded by Councillor Allen. Thank you. Discussion on the motion regarding the Greenwood Water Utility. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please indicate as usual on the bin pad. Thank you, and thank you to IT for getting us back on track here. I'm assuming we're good because I didn't hear. Oh, there we go. And the motion carries unanimously with all 8 councillors present voting in favor.
So the next recommendation relates to the regional sewer system, and you'll see that the numbers in the material that's contained within the request for decision has been updated with the revised numbers as outlined by Mike a few minutes ago. So.
Okay, so the motion is that Municipal Council approve the 2024-25 operating and capital budget for the regional sewer system, which includes $2,500,000 of gross expenditures and a capital budget of $9,268,324 attached as Appendix B to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. The mover of that motion. Moved by Councillor Davison. Seconded by Councillor Granger. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. Back to you, Greg.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Recommendation number 3 relates to the external funding. So in Appendix C, you'll see that it outlines all the external organizations, the amounts that have been contained within there, library funding, and the fire department operating funding.
All right. Any questions on this motion or Appendix D, right? C. Okay. I have a question on D, so I got to keep these straight. Okay. The motion is that Municipal Council approves specific funding to external organizations identified in Appendix C, schedule of specific external organization funding, attached to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision totaling $3,169,160. The mover of the motion. Moved by Councillor Killam, seconded by Councillor Burgess. Questions or discussion on the motions? Oh, I have a brief one. The Kings Point to Point Transit Society, we talked about that yesterday. The number in here is 83,790, but I tend to remember when Councillor Armstrong was doing the math in her head yesterday, she said it was more like 101,000. Did we, can you help me reconcile this discrepancy in my brain?
Yeah, for sure. So the amount of operating is 68,709 plus the 15,000 related to capital.
Right.
So the 83,790 does reflect the total that was included in the discussion yesterday.
Okay.
That was an in-camera discussion that we had around that motion, but the number that was outlined by Councillor Armstrong was slightly higher than what the actual amount is.
Oh, okay. I have Deputy CAO Frost over there.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to add to that too, there's also the $15,000 that would be in this current fiscal year, so it does come close to 100.
Many thanks. That's very helpful. Thank you very much. Councillor Hardy.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. How many external organizations is there?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to the councillors. So there's 6 different external organizations that are outlined in the line item pending.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anything further? The motion's been moved and seconded. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify using the voting pin pad. Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Is that from this motion? Okay, perfect. Yes, okay. We are good to move to the next motion.
The next motion relates to all of the grant funding. So we summarize that in Appendix D. You'll see it outlines the property tax exemptions, the community active living grants, community enhancement grants, the major grant programs and recreation grants, and other grants such as the school food program and crossing guards and things of that nature are outlined, totaling $2,600,000 roughly.
All right, any questions before we get the motion? I just have a quick one. Under community active living grants development, the 150,000, what is contained in that one? I just am again drawing a blank. It's probably because it's early in the morning. What is the development piece?
Yes.
It's not the stuff. It's not the one that goes to the villages, is it?
No. Give me 1 second here. I know that we saw that typo in terms of the display on the appendix, and we didn't update it. It's the park, playground, trails, maintenance, and development.
Okay.
So the first part of it got cut off. Apologies for that.
That is very helpful. Thank you. So the park playground one. Thank you. Councillor Armstrong, question?
Yesterday, we had a presentation from the Community Health Board, and in that presentation, they made mention of the fact that the province is putting out a considerable sum of money for school food programs. Is there any thought that once that comes into play, that our 100,000 contribution that we give yearly to school food programs will go away?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to the councillor, that's certainly something that council can discuss and consider moving forward. The $100,000 ties directly to the program and policies that we have in place relative to our program, but it's an interesting thought for council to deliberate and consider in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. The same thought struck me yesterday when we received the presentation from Engage around data and being able to break down by school, eventually by school district. Would be really interesting to see the catchment areas. We might be able to drill down or the province, whoever's funding it at the time, to make it more equitable. Good question. Anything further? Can I have a mover of this motion? Moved by Councillor Burgess, seconded by Councillor Armstrong, that Municipal Council approve the grant program funding identified in Appendix D attached to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision totaling $2,670,300. All in favor or otherwise, please signify now. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. So we're skipping over 5, and we're skipping over
5 and
6
6
for
yes,
now,
correct.
but we will come back to them today. So recommendation 7.
That relates to the West Hants Regional Municipality for the Hantsport Volunteer Fire Department. As outlined in our agreement with them, we have to approve their budget. So their budget and our contribution amount is contained within Appendix F.
Okay, Appendix F. Any questions on the Hantsport?
One comment I should have in relation to it, and I believe it's summarized in the RFD, is that we haven't actually received their budget yet. So we outlined a contribution amount based on what the contract calls for, what our agreement calls for, in terms of a maximum amount. when we actually receive their budget component, we'll have to come back to council at a future date for the actual budget approval. So this motion just relates to the contribution amount that we've set out as a maximum under our agreement with them.
Okay. Any questions about that? Thoughts? Okay. Could I have a mover of, did I have it moved yet? No, I didn't have it moved yet. So the municipal council approve the 2024-25 municipal contribution in the amount of $82,300 to the West Hants Regional Municipality for the Hantsport Volunteer Fire Department, as summarized in Appendix F to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision, moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now. The motion carries. Thank you, Council. Moving to item 8.
Item 8 starts to look at our capital and project budgets. So you can see that with the changes that were outlined by Mike previously, the updated amount is included in this motion, and this encompasses all of the capital and project budgets of 47 items that were outlined at the February 28th Committee of the Whole meeting.
Okay. We've been over every single one of those project sheets and been given a great description by Mr. Livingston on what is entailed in our budget, our capital budget. So are there any questions or further comments to make regarding our capital budget for the coming year? Further comment, conversation? Okay. Looking for a motion that Municipal Council approve the 2024-25 capital and project budget with gross expenditures of $41,648,151 as summarized in Appendix G to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. Is there a mover of the motion? Moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Davison. Thank you. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. One more motion on capital, I think.
Yes, the next motion relates to the 5-year capital plan, and it's summarized in Appendix H of the RFD.
Page 21 on the agenda package today. Any questions on the 5-year capital plan for Greg this morning? Okay, I don't, oh, Councillor Granger.
Right in there, right under the wire.
Perfect. No, that's good.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The $430,000 for the municipal facilities, how come it's only till 2024? Is that the solar? Or what is that?
One moment here, trying to identify it.
It's
There's
under municipal infrastructure?
municipal infrastructure, municipal facilities. There's $440,000 allocated for this year, but none in the coming 4 years.
But no future years?
Yeah. EV charging stations, potentially.
Apologies on me trying to find it here in the, I'll defer over to, oh no, here I found it, okay, yes. Yeah.
It's on the page before, okay. That's,
I'll have to defer that over to Mike in relation to part of it is the Waterville warehouse upgrades. Is that part of the?
Waterville warehouse upgrades and the municipal complex furniture and equipment.
Yeah, I'll have to defer that to Mike in terms of which project sheet that specifically relates to.
So is that only done like every 5 years or?
I have to identify the project sheet, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Give us 1 second here.
Yeah, there's, the project sheets are all in here. If we knew what page. It is on the page before, under municipal facilities and Waterville warehouse.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, it is the project specific to the Waterville warehouse is the reason why you're seeing it drop off. There's a fair bit of activity that we're planning at that facility, and then it would be kind of the one-off situation there.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. And no, I'm guessing no anticipated facility-related expenses in the next 5 years is what also, Councillor Wright, is sort of part of your question? Probably nothing forthcoming. Okay. Any questions? More questions on the 5-year capital plan? Okay. The motion is that Municipal Council approve the 5-year capital plan as summarized in Appendix H to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. Do we have a mover of the motion? Councillor Allen, Councillor Davison. Thank you. Any debate, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please indicate in the usual fashion. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council.
The next recommendation relates to the temporary borrowing resolution with the province of Nova Scotia. So we're required, if we're going to borrow any incur any long-term debt, to get the approval of the province, and part of that is the temporary borrowing resolution that requests that approval from the province. It doesn't commit the municipality to borrow, but it does allow us to. I think it has a 1-year effective once we request it and get approval at the province. So this motion just. The detailed TBR is located within the appendix.
Yeah, it's pages 23 and 24, very clearly laid out, so thank you for that. Any questions on this particular item? Councillor Armstrong?
I believe I read somewhere that, excuse me, that we put this in for what the maximum we feel we're going to need, but we only draw down on it what we may actually use. Is that correct?
Right, through you, Deputy Mayor, to the councillor, that's correct.
So at the end of the year, it might only be 4,000 or 4 million or something like that.
Correct, depending on the
how
projects
much
that
we
would actually be
undertake.
incurred and have been completed. And depending on where our situation may be in terms of additional surplus, as per our surplus policy, we would
Or
reduce
grants
the amount
or-
in grants, exactly.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Good distinction, Councillor, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this particular item? Seeing none, the motion is that Municipal Council approve the request of a temporary borrowing resolution from the province of Nova Scotia in the amount of $14,963,256, attached as Appendix I to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. Could I have a mover of that motion, please? Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Burgess, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. So item 11.
This recommendation, pardon me, is rather long. It relates to the fees policy. And so there's updates that are made there as per our policy related to the sewer and streetlights and the charges that would be associated with each of those services. And this is a recommendation that kind of starts that process of updating those policies accordingly.
Okay, so the recommendation
There's 2
is-
slides here to cover the full content of.
that municipal, oh yeah, this is, okay. That Municipal Council provide 7 days notice per Section 48, Subsection 1 Municipal Government Act to adopt amendments to Policy FIN 05003, the fees policy, attached as Appendix J to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. Proposed amendments are shown in red. 4.2, the fees for sewer charges be approved as follows. Single-family dwellings and like units be charged $590. Vacant lots be charged $176. The flow rates be amended as follows. Part 1, $3.33. Part 2, $3.96. Part 3, $4.61. 4.2.3, notwithstanding 4.2.2, the developer or subdivider who installed and transferred to the municipality the sewer line servicing such lots shall be exempt from payment of such sum until such developer or subdivider has transferred ownership of such lots or an occupancy permit has been issued for the property, whichever may occur first. 4.6, the fees for streetlights be approved as follows. Centerville properties be charged $450, Canaan Heights properties be charged according to bylaw 97, all other properties be charged $43. Okay, mover, or discussion or questions before I look for a mover? Okay, mover of the motion, Councillor Allen. Counselor Armstrong, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? The fees policy is included in the package. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify now. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. Item 12.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this motion relates to our overall operating budget, the proposed 24-25 budget. It's summarized in Appendix K and was included in the agenda package, and it's also part of the detailed presentation that was made on March 13th to Committee of the Whole.
Anything that has arisen for Council in the time between the presentation of the operating budget and today's meeting? Okay. I'm not seeing anyone jumping to the mic. So the motion is that the 2024-25 operating budget with gross expenditures of $65,333,760 be approved as summarized in Appendix K to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision. Is there a mover of the motion? Moved by Councillor Granger, seconded by Councillor Burgess. Discussion on the motion for the operating budget. And this is the final approval. It's not first reading. This is it. So if you got anything, say it now. Okay. Oh, Councillor Harding.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. I come today to, I kind of looked at I've been studying this over and over again, trying to realize maybe that we could reduce our tax rate at some point, but as I look through the budget, it is an excellent budget, so thank you very much for it, and you worked hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anything further? Okay, seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion. Okay, motion carried. Item 13 is the tax rate.
Yeah, we would actually be circling back to motions 5 and 6 at this point.
Perfect.
Prior to disapproving the tax rates.
Okay. We were hoping that Mayor Mattart would be here to potentially provide some additional context regarding some communication he received regarding these recommendations. So we were hoping he would be here by now. He is not here by now. I'm, having chatted with staff this morning, personally comfortable moving forward with the motions as is, but I would, oh my gosh. The door opened. Yeah. It's taking a long time for them to walk down the stairs, which is a good sign. Yeah, he heard me and now he's turned and is vacated. Oh my gosh, the suspense is killing me. The mayor has joined us, so we're just gonna, apologies for anyone listening online, we're gonna give him a moment to sit down and then we're gonna pepper him with questions and context. Mayor, you've arrived at the perfect time as we have made our way through all of the motions with the exception of 4. The setting the commercial and the residential tax rates. But we have circled back prior to doing that to the Kentville Volunteer Fire Department budgets. And we chatted this morning that you may have received some communication, and we wanted to seek your counsel on whether or not it was advisable to move forward with the approval of the operating budget for the Kentville Volunteer Fire Department based on the communication you received, or shall we postpone it for another day? I should turn your mic on so you can answer.
Well, man, you know, you can't pull questions on me like that.
Well, my understanding is the entire council of the Kentville Town Council intends to meet with the Joint Fire Committee, the one that we participate in, the Kentville Fire Department as we know it, because they have a concern about the way they put it, the way it was put to me, was that they were bringing too much of the financials in-house and not hiring the same auditor that they had had in previous years, or at least that auditor had not yet been reappointed. And their concern was being expressed that the proper municipal audit rules might not be applied. Plus, there was the small factor of money. The Kentville had been paid something in the order of, well, a lot more than they're being paid now. The person I was talking to indicated they weren't being paid anything. And I asked at the time what the $32,000 was that I saw on the budget being paid to the town of Kentville. And the answer was, oh, that must be the 4% that we get for collecting the rate after it's applied. But to go directly to your question, while it didn't form part of my discussions with the individual, I didn't have the same concerns that the individual had, and I would proceed with the budget. But, and if the town feels that it can't pass the budget, then I guess it's going to come back to us.
That's the type of guidance we were looking for, and also in chatting with Councillor Allen, who is a member of the committee, he shared the same sentiment that we were okay to move forward. The committee was comfortable. So, Councillor Burgess, as the other representative, feel free to lend your voice.
Yeah, I'll just echo the sentiments of Councillor Allen. The committee itself supports the budget as proposed. There are some changes in contracting and other things that are coming along that I can't obviously discuss in open council, but there are some changes that may be necessary or that may be occurring that that will be discussed in future, but for right now I don't see any issues. It won't affect us, and we do meet tomorrow, so if there are any concerns or anything like that, I can obviously, we'll bring it back. But
okay, thank you. Councillor Killam, do you also sit on that committee? Would you like to weigh in, or are you okay? Okay, thank you. All right, so with that context having been received, the comfort level is there among the representatives and the mayor, so we shall proceed with the motion that Municipal Council approve the 2024-25 operating budget for the Kentville Volunteer Fire Department attached as Appendix E to the March 20th, 2024 request for decision totaling $757,720. Do I have a move of the motion? Moved by Councillor Burgess. Seconded by Councillor Killam. Thank you. Any further discussion on this particular motion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion. The motion carries with all 9 councillors in attendance voting in favor. And the second recommendation is that Municipal Council approve the 2024-25 municipal contribution in the amount of $475,489 to the Kentville Volunteer Fire Department. Of a mover of that motion, Councillor Killam and Councillor Burgess, thank you. Any further discussion on this motion, which of course is our share of the budget we just passed? Well, we just passed, but it does require more than just us passing that previous budget. Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please signify in the usual fashion. Okay, motion carried, thank you. And then we'll bop all the way back to item 13. Director Bauer, did you have anything to
just the formality of the setting the residential and commercial tax rates are contained in the last two motions that are really products of the previous motions.
Perfect. Okay, so recommendation is that the residential and resource property tax rate for 2024-25 be set at $85.853 per what? I haven't talked about cents in so long. Yeah, 85 cents, 85.3 cents, 85.3 cents, 0.853 of a dollar per $100 of assessment. Do I have a mover of that motion? If you can make any sense of it. Councillor Burgess, thank you. Councillor Davison, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please vote now. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. And finally, the motion is that Municipal Council approve the commercial property tax rate for 2024-2025 to be set at $2.287 per $100 of assessment. Mover of the motion. Councillor Granger, Mayor Matar, thank you. Any discussion on the motion for the commercial property tax rate? Seeing none, all in favor or otherwise, please indicate in the usual fashion. Thanks for your patience while I bumbled through those last two. Anything further from staff?
No, that's
Okay.
it. Thank you.
As always, a huge congratulations to the Finance Department, all the staff involved in making the budget, the Finance and Audit Committee who gave input from the beginning, from Committee of the Whole, all the departments, everybody who has a hand in this. It's tremendous. It makes our jobs very easy, and just a job well done. We really, truly, from the bottom of our hearts, appreciate your work. Okay. Oh, can we clap? Yay. Good idea. All right. Any other business to come before council this morning? Councillor Burgess.
Not necessarily budget related, but on the radio this morning, Valley Wren has appointed a new CAO. So I just want to congratulate Emily Bouchard on her appointment. And thank you, Jennifer Tufts, for all of her work that she has done as she moves out of that role. So
Yeah, I think she's moving into the Chief Operating Officer role.
Yes.
So they'll make a good team.
Yep.
And yeah, good. I'm glad they put it on the radio. Thank you for including that. Anything further? Any comments from the public? We'd have no public here today. At this point, I would look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Granger. All in favor or otherwise, please indicate now. The motion carries with Councillor Granger also voting in favor. Thanks, Council, for all your work today, for your presence, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.